Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
a modern witch's spoken word grimoire,
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense,
your cauldron and your crystals,
and join us
as we get
Back on the Broomstick. Hi, I'm Chelle.
And I'm Layla. And tonight is Krampus night. Happy Krampusnacht.
I love Krampus. I love the story of Krampus, but I cannot say, what is it? Krampus?
Krampusnacht.
Krampusnacht.
German Nacht. Yeah. Krampus is a new one for me. I've only known about Krampus for maybe 5-6 years, I think. Not very long.
Oh, see, I have a little bit of family background that goes back to some German, Dutch type roots. And I've actually heard of Krampus.
All right. So before we get too far, tonight we are going to be talking about Yule legends, Yule crafts, and Yule spells that you can do this time of year, the month of the winter solstice.
And if any of you folks out there have listened to our old podcast, which is still near and dear to our hearts, the Stoned Witches Hour, you'll know that I have a soft spot in my heart for a cryptid. I love a good cryptid. I don't know what my fascination is with them. And we are actually going to talk about what is technically considered a Yule cryptid. Yay!
Now, Krampus, he's from Central European folklore, and he's like almost what some people would consider devil looking. He's got goat legs, he's got a tail, he's got big curved horns and a long forked tongue, and he's kind of like an anthropomorphic goat demon thing.
You know how I look at him? Like how I look at Krampus in my mind is he's like the yin to Santa Claus's yang.
That's a great way to look at it, actually.
That's probably the thing we should start off with is he's kind of like the opposite of Santa, the opposite of Saint Nicholas, the guy in the red suit doling out gifts.
Yeah, I always saw it as Santa takes care of the nice list. Somebody's got to be in charge of the naughty list.
Yes,
and that would be Krampus.
Yeah.
So kids leave their boots out in the hopes that if they're good, it'll get filled with sweets and treats from St. Nicholas. But if they're bad, Krampus leaves a stick in the boot to beat them with.
See, now, I never heard of the boot thing, but continue on.
He whips naughty children. So if you've been bad, you either get whipped, you get put in his bag and taken down to hell, or you just kind of get a stern talking to, I guess. It really depends on which part of the legend that you believe. So instead of being given coal, they thought kids really needed to be scared straight, I guess. And so Krampus is supposed to put the fear of going to hell, I guess, into kids so that they're nice before Christmas comes.
Well, speaking of hell, by the way, I came across some information where it actually says that Krampus is the son of the god Hell.
Really?
Actually, yeah. I'm not saying trust everything you read on the internet. I'm just saying. But I just want to point out it wasn't necessarily just in Germany.
It was like Central Europe, right?
Yeah, the 8 Alpine countries, France, Switzerland, Italy, parts of England, Austria, Slovenia. So this was like a widespread view. The other thing is that people tried to make the story of Krampus go away because they kind of felt it was a little mean. But Krampus kind of made a big comeback in like the early 1900s. And some of that had to do with early pop culture. Not that there was, I don't know, do you call the roaring 20s pop culture? I guess in respects. And after World War II as well, he kind of made his comeback. I look at Krampus as a way to keep my kids good, man. Am I a horrible parent? Am I a horrible parent? I mean, I'm not telling them the part about the switches of birch rods here or anything, but just as Santa rewards the good, like you said, somebody's got to tend to the bad.
There's got to be balance. Sure. I kind of like the story of Krampus, and he's gotten very popular, I think, because we all know that everything's not all sugary sweet all the time. And just like you said, there has to be balance. And so I think Krampus kind of fulfills that need. And I see, like, we posted a picture on Instagram of Krampus having tea with the Mari Lwyd and the Yule cat. So, like most things, we like to see the softer side of our Krampus, but he does balance out Santa Claus.
Well, like I said, it kind of goes with my whole thought process of he's kind of the yin to Santa's yang, you know.
Exactly.
Where there's light, there's dark, where there's good, there's bad, where there's happy, there's sad. Everything has an opposite, and he's the opposite of Santa.
And they're pretty sure that his origins weren't exactly with Santa Claus. They think he was possibly a pre Christian, some type of demon or that kind of trickster spirit that lives in the dark.
And I just want to preface when I say Santa Claus, I know that's kind of a North American thing, but I am also referring to jolly old Saint Nick, Saint Nicholas, the gift giver on that cold December night. Whether you want to call him Saint Nicholas, Saint Nick, Santa Claus, I am referring to all the same person.
Now, Saint Nick, actually, my family has a tradition that goes through my mother's side of the family far, far, far back. And it turns out it's actually a tradition from the St. Nicholas story that involves oranges.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit later in the episode. But before we go too much further, I do want to say thank you so much to our listeners. We have been loving all your comments and the emails, the messages that you send us. Please keep them coming. Make sure to like and subscribe. Give us some stars. It really helps the show out, and we appreciate the hell out of it.
You know, honestly, you guys don't even know if either Layla or I get a message and we read it, we get giddy, okay? Like giddy, like freaking schoolgirls. And the first thing we do is contact the other and like, oh my God, we got this message. So, you know, we love it. We love to hear from you. It totally, totally makes our day. You know, I'm still living the dream of a mundane job Monday through Friday. And when I'm sitting at work and I either see one of your messages or get a message from Layla about one of your messages, it literally is truly sometimes the highlight of my day. So keep them coming.
So back to our cryptids. Another cryptid that you introduced me to on the Stoned Witches Hour last year was one that I can't even pronounce this name at all, so I'm not going to try. But it's also known as the Yule Cat from Iceland.
Okay, I want to give it a go here.
Go for it.
You gotta let me give this a go.
Now, you're known for being horrific at pronouncing words.
I was going to say, for any of our longtime listeners, you know what's about to happen and it isn't pretty. Okay, I am going to start with Jolakatur.
Ooh, that sounds so fancy.
It's probably so wrong. So wrong. The Yule, you know, and I'm so surprised at you. When I found out, whatever it was last year, that you had never heard of the Yule Cat, I was like, are you serious? You and your husband, by the way, are like bona fide cat ladies. Yeah, like bona
No,
fide.
that's definitely my husband. He's the cat lady.
Yeah. But this is a quote unquote cryptid, which we all know I love. And it comes from Icelandic lore. So these folks in Iceland, I need to go to Iceland and see what kind of cats they got roaming up there, first of all. This is a a cat that comes out at Yule. Now, this cat is supposedly bigger than a house. So you just got to picture this like 40-foot tall cat roaming around the countryside in Iceland. Now, they describe him as a huge, vicious cat. As much as I pick on you, Layla, I am just as much of a damn cat lady. Don't let me kid you guys. All I can picture when they call this a huge, vicious cat, I just get a flashback of when I took my pretty little kitty, which you know, my little Jax. I took him to the vet one time and I leave the vet and they're like, get him out of here. We had to muzzle him. He's violent. Get him out of here. I'm like, my baby? What do you mean? My baby's a lover. I'd probably be the one that would go hug the Yule Cat and die. But they're so supposedly said to lurk the countryside during the Christmas season. Now, in Icelandic folklore, if you are good and you've done all your chores and have been a good child, good person, you get new clothes to wear before Christmas Eve. If you were not good, you did not receive any new clothing to wear before Christmas. So the story goes that the Yule Cat comes and eats people that don't have new clothes.
So now you know why your grandma gave you new undies for Christmas. so the Yule cat wouldn't eat you.
But the other version, because there are two versions. The other version of the story is that the cat would come and eat your Christmas dinner, so you had no Christmas dinner. So either way, either you're getting eaten or your Christmas dinner's getting eaten. Either way, you're screwed if you're bad, and you have no new clothes. And that's so funny because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, speaking of grandmas, did you always have to wear like a nice, good outfit to like your family Christmas?
My grandmother did literally always give us socks and underwear.
Is it because of the Yule cat?
I don't know, possibly.
I need to have like a seance or do some medium work with my grandmas because now I want to know if it had to do with the Yule cat. Oh,
I think if it did, they would have told us. I would have hoped they would have told us.
but as I had mentioned in our previous podcast where we did a whole episode on this, there's some controversy on the start of the Yule cat. So this guy wrote a story in the mid 1800s, and that's kind of where it came from. They're not sure if he meant a literal cat or if it was a figure of speech to quote unquote dress the cat. Because I love cryptids, I'm going with this shit's real. There's a cat that's going to come eat you if you don't have clean clothes on for Christmas.
Hey, that is an excuse for me to get a kick-ass outfit before Yule. That's all I'm saying.
But listen to this. I think the Yule cat is just a different frickin' version of Krampus. Just like there's the Yeti and Bigfoot. Same frickin' thing. One's just in the cold and one is in Canada.
Yeah, but Krampus is going to take you to hell or beat you with a switch if you've been bad.
The cat's going to eat you or eat all your food.
But you can fool the cat by wearing new clothes. You can be bad all year long, dress up before Christmas, and you're golden with the Yule cat. I think there's too big of a loophole there.
I just want to point out that Layla, the first thing she comes up with is a damn loophole. Okay? A damn loophole. Just saying.
Hey, I never said that Krampus and I weren't well acquainted.
But my theory is that I think they could technically be, I don't want to say the same thing, but the Yule cat could be Iceland's version of Krampus. If you're bad, you're fucked. If you're good, Santa's coming, man.
So now we've talked about two of the bad. Here's two of the little bit more fun. And one of them I am absolutely in freaking love with. And not just because it's kind of a horse. In Welsh tradition, apparently, they have this creepy horse skull adorned with flowers and ribbons that goes around with singers asking for drinks and challenges the homeowner. Like when they get to your house, they'll challenge you to a song battle. Basically, they sing a song and you have to keep singing the song until somebody loses.
This just sounds like a rap battle with Eminem, and you add a skull into it. And I love
pretty close.
I love this tradition, but I just get so creeped out at skulls. Oh my god. Why does it have
Yeah,
to
they
be a
look pretty
skull?
freaky. So this is called the Mari Lwyd, or I've also heard it pronounced Ivari Lwyd. It's a tradition involving a literal horse skull or a puppet of a horse skull, and someone dressed basically like a ghost in like a white sheet with this horse skull on top.
Right.
And they go around with basically naughty carolers, essentially, and have you do that. There's like a traditional song. It's like a back and forth song. But at some point you have to start making up your own verses. And it becomes, like Chelle said, a rap battle.
Can somebody bring this tradition to Massachusetts?
Seriously.
Because I really want to do this for real.
Oh, it gets better. It's not just a rap battle at your door with a horse skull and some naughty carolers.
Okay.
Once the Mari Lwyd wins, she then comes into your house, chases everybody around, and then everyone gets drunk and has food.
If that's the case, why would you even want to try to beat her? Just let her in and start drinking.
I think the tradition is she always wins. And she comes in, everyone has a drink, and after she leaves, the house is blessed with good luck for the new year.
Okay. I like this. I like this. No one's getting eaten. No one's getting hit with a switch. I love it.
I know you don't like bones and skulls, and I know I do, so I love this one. But yeah, they're not really sure where this tradition came from either. It's thought that possibly it had something to do with, bringing good health and cheer, or maybe people were just really freaking bored in the middle of winter.
Well, the Welsh folks do have a history of bards and a lot of singing oral traditions. So kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and it could also be some type of resurrection type thing as well, because there is some evidence that they would take that horse skull and bury it in the ground. And part of the ceremony may have been kind of like, quote unquote, bringing it to life every year, bringing it up out of the ground.
Do you know what type of songs?
I don't know what the traditional song is, no. There is a traditional song with some back and forth verses, but then the rest of it gets made up, but I don't know what it's called. If somebody does know, I would love to hear it.
I want to go participate in this for
I
real.
know, right? It sounds like fun.
Okay, what's your second one?
I have two more actually. I lied. I have La Befana, who's more of
Okay.
a Christian tradition, but she seemed kind of cool. She looks kind of like a witch, so I think a lot
Okay.
of people bring her up. She's like pictured like a crone, like you're not green, but think of like a traditional stereotypical witch figure, the hunched over older lady with the big crook nose with a wart on it.
Uh-huh.
And the idea is that the three wise men, when they were following the star to go find baby Jesus, they stopped at this lady's house and she fed them. And then they were leaving and they're like, hey, why don't you come with us? And she said, no, no, can't. I have too much cleaning to do. So the wise men leave and she feels bad. She decides she's missing out. She's got a lot of FOMO. So she takes her broom and a bag of candies and she leaves and starts following this star like the wise men. But she's not really sure which kid is going to be Jesus. So she just leaves little gifts and candies on the doorsteps of all the houses that have children in them. And that tradition continues now, kind of like a female Santa Claus.
Oh, that's
Isn't it
cute.
cute? It's a
I've
cute
never heard of
little
that before.
yeah. And I think she's brought up in pagan circles because she does kind of look traditionally like a witch and she's often pictured carrying a broom.
Interesting. All I'm picturing is like the witch from Snow White.
Yeah, no, think like an Italian Nana. She's like an Italian folklore.
Okay.
And then there's also, have you seen the little straw goats that some people have that hang on their trees, like as a
Uh,
decoration this time of year?
goats?
A
No, I
goat,
mean
yeah.
I've seen the straw decorations, but not shaped in a goat.
So the last one I'm going to talk about is the Yule goat.
Oh my God, I love decorations. Holy crap, is this a new one I can get? Do
It
tell.
is. Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit. I
So
need to
this one, okay, did you watch the Marvel movie Thor: Love and Thunder?
Well, yeah.
Do you remember the screaming goats that he was given?
Yeah.
Thor in tradition actually does have a pair of goats, and I can't remember their names, that pull his chariot. And the Yule goats are thought to come from Thor's goats. And so in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, one of the traditions is to have this straw goat. And it's believed that the goat spirit would appear before Christmas and make sure everything was proper and was done properly and good, and would give you gifts.
I am literally writing this down that I need a straw goat
You
ornament.
need a straw goat. There's a town called Yavle in Sweden, and they make a giant Yule goat out of straw. And they keep trying to burn it down on Yule, but the people burn it down beforehand. And like in the last
Like on
35 years,
purpose?
like on purpose, it gets burnt down before it's supposed to be burnt down. People are a little overly
I
excited.
gotcha.
But yeah, so it's burnt as a sacrifice, kind of like a
Okay.
Yule log tradition. So
Interesting.
kind of neat, right?
I need a damn straw goat to go with my pickle on my tree.
Let's talk about trees.
Whew. Okay.
I'm going to defer to Shell because bringing greenery into the house in the form of a Christmas tree or a Yule tree is her specialty.
Now, we're going to talk real quick about some of our own personal traditions. And I would just like to point out to everyone that plants come to me to die. It's a sad reality. I try not to make it happen, but here we are. But a Christmas tree, on the other hand, and I'll talk in a minute about the fact that I called it a Christmas tree, by the way. Layla's my witness, and I probably should have gone to some sort of group meeting for this, but I have been known to have 11 decorated full-size trees in my house.
She's not exaggerating.
Like I'm not talking about a 2 or 3 foot tree. I'm talking about full like 6, 7 foot trees. And I don't want to say that I'm addicted to Christmas ornaments, but
But each kid has their own tree filled with their own ornaments.
don't judge me, man, because my kids My kids have an ornament for every year that they've been alive. Like their Christmas tree is the story of their life. And now that I have my poor grandson, he's 18 months old and I love that little doll. And for only this being his second Christmas, I feel like I've already got a tubby of ornaments. These are memories, people, don't judge me. But, as much as I joke about it, it is like how I bring nature into my space in that cold, dark period. Because also, Layla is my witness. I've also been known to leave those damn trees up until February. Part of it's because I'm lazy and love looking at them. But I can't keep plants. I can't even keep a spider plant. I've given it a go. The only thing I can keep alive here, people, is cats and kids. And Christmas trees are the one time I can bring that type of thing into my space. And with the ornaments, I just love pretty things and shiny things. And I can't even explain that addiction. But to me, it represents how I get in touch with my Yule season. People do the Yule log. I have had apartments and houses where I wasn't able to do the inside Yule log thing. And I'm all for all or nothing. If I have the Yule log, damn it, I want to light it, not just look at it. So I've replaced kind of that Yule log tradition with the whole damn tree.
And bringing in a living green tree is a fabulous symbol in the middle of winter, in the dark, before the sun comes back. And so to have that greenery in your home in any form is fantastic. Granted, Chelle puts it in every single room of her home, but you don't have to go that far. You can just bring in some branches, bring in a whole tree.
No, go that far, people. Truly.
My family likes to get a tree. We've gotten live trees in the past and planted them. We've also cut down our own or gone to a family farm and gotten the cut trees. But we like to have a live tree. But our tradition with it is after Yule, after Christmas, we take the tree. When we had property, we would take it out on the property to a place where it would compost for the rest of the year. And after we left it there, we would make ornaments out of edible ornaments, essentially out of birdseed and suet, peanut butter, and pine cones, that type of thing, and tie them with cotton yarn, and then put those ornaments on the tree where it's sitting for the year. And then the next year, we would go out and take the branches off of it for the fire, and then take part of that trunk to be the Yule log.
Wow, I did not have that type of ambition back then when I had two mom. I'm not gonna lie. That is great, but I just want the people out there who just can't. Don't feel bad. I'm jealous.
You don't have to. There's a lot of crafts that you can do this time of year, but a Yule log can be a couple different things. Now, you mentioned you don't have one. We have had one a few times. We didn't do it every year, but a few times we've had a Yule log. Basically, just a piece of the trunk of an old Christmas tree, or you can use any log, and then you put candles on it and decorate it however you'd like. And it's basically the idea of bringing something in from outside. And also with the Yule log, it's the idea of a lot of people put wishes into it. I've seen a few traditions where people would take that Yule log and then have it, in their house someplace central in December. And then some people even have little slips of paper for guests to write a wish or a memory for the year, stick it in the Yule log and burn it.
So I have a funny childhood Yule log story. You're familiar with my family and such. And pagan they were not, okay?
No.
But we all have those parents that they still have every damn decoration for Christmas that they've had since 1984. And yeah, they may have added to it, but they don't get rid of any of the old stuff.
Oh no.
So every year, we'd go up to my mother's attic and we would be dragging out all these containers of Christmas stuff. And she had a Yule log. Now, I don't recall if it was real wood or if it was fake, but the white birch, and it had 3 red candles in it. And I'd always remember because me and my brother used to play sword fight with the candles, and then my mother would scream at us. Anywho, and as I got older, I just thought, okay, that's one of our Christmas decorations. No, I was a kid. What the hell do I know? As I got older and found this path and whatnot, and knew what Yule was and all of that. I had moved out by then. Show up at my mom's one year for Christmas. Damn thing's sitting on a coffee table in the living room. And me, I was kind of a smart ass back then. And I'm like, so everybody wants to talk about me being a witch. Why is there a Yule log here? Did you do that for me? Did you know when I was a kid? Because, we all knew that that had been like a lifelong household event.
Forever.
And well, that has nothing to do with any of them. Yes, it does. So then, of course, me, I start giving the whole oral history of the Yule log to my family. They didn't take it pretty well. And I think that the funniest part is there's a lot of these traditions that overlap, and not everybody realizes that they do. And I think that's where kind of my thing with like Christmas and Yule, people think, oh, you say Merry Christmas, you have a Christmas tree, you're doing Christmas, this and that, but you're a witch and you're pagan. And how can that be? Christmas for me is about everything that Yule is about, except maybe I'm the asshole who just conveniently does it on Christmas Day because it's easier for my lifestyle and family situation. I don't know what to tell you, people. But as far as the Jesus aspect, that is not something that my family focuses on with Christmas. It's about being together and making those memories and doing the whole thing. To me, they're kind of one and the same, and maybe that's a me thing.
That's a lot of pagans. A lot of pagans share that same thing for exactly what you said, Shell. That because the holidays are so similar. This time of year, there's a lot of I mean, there's Hanukkah, there's Kwanzaa, there's Yule, there's Christmas. There's so many stories about the light returning. Because in the northern hemisphere it is so dark and cold.
It's all the same thing. Yule and Christmas, there's food, there's gift giving. I love the fat man in the red suit. I don't know what to tell you.
It's all stories of continuation of giving gifts to each other to help survive this really dark and cold and terrible time. Everybody hates it when the days get so short. We're looking forward to that return of the light, that rebirth of the sun. And so a lot of different cultures and a lot of different religions have similar stories right now. So it's very, very easy to put Christmas and Yule right together.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to point
No.
that out. Nothing wrong with that. My significant other and I happen to have our anniversary on Yule. So yeah, honestly, celebrating Yule on December 25th is a little more convenient because I'm celebrating my anniversary on the 21st. I'm sorry, but that's my reality, and it's okay.
It is. And one of the things that I did to kind of help bridge the gap between Yule and Christmas, because when you have kids, it's very difficult. I mean, I sympathize for any family that doesn't celebrate Christmas, how difficult it is to get away from. You can't.
Lord.
And explaining that to my children when they were little, that we don't really celebrate Christmas, wasn't very easy. We still did the tree, we did the lights, we did the cookies, we did the presents. We just did it a little differently. And so to help them with that, I created a ritual that my kids, now that they're grown, a little closer to grown up, still love. And it's my favorite as well. So it's pretty easy, way easier than the Yule tree one.
What is it?
We have 4 candles. The colors of this time of year are red, green, gold, silver, right? Yule is usually the 21st, the winter solstice. So I got 4 candles, one to represent the sun, one to represent the moon, one to represent the god, and one to represent the goddess. So on the night of Yule, we turn off all the lights in the house. And then we'll say a little bit of something that we're thankful for, or something funny. It's usually different every year. And then one of the kids lights the candle for the sun. And then every night between Yule and Christmas, we light an additional candle. So the next night, we light the sun candle and the moon candle. Then the next night after that, the sun, the moon, the god candle. And then the last night, Christmas Eve, we light the sun, the moon, the god, and the goddess candles. And each night represents something different. And I would usually talk to them about something witchy or pagan, or tell them some type of Yule story. And that really helped to give them something to look forward to. And we celebrated both Yule as a religious holiday and Christmas as like you said, like a family food gift giving holiday. And the candle ceremony was a way to tie it together. And my kids still will not let me forget that. Even if we don't do any other decorating, wherever we happen to be, we have to do the candle ritual because it means so much to them. And I love that.
We used to, when the kids were little, the tree thing, was very much a ritual. But the more trees I put up and the more ornaments I had, the more my kids were like, yeah, no. Now we kind of joke the last year or two, the space I've been in, I have been not able to accommodate that many trees. And lo and behold, who misses it? The kids. Whatever your tradition is, make it important because it is important. And whatever works for you, freaking do it. Who cares what a book says or what the calendar says? If I'm going to do my shit on December 25th, that's when I'm doing it. As long as I'm doing it.
And honestly, the whole month, it's very special. There's a feeling in the air around Yule and Christmas. And I love that everyone's kind of trying to capture that, especially now. I'm seeing way more cinnamon stick and dried orange slice garlands. I'm seeing pine cone garlands and burlap and I'm seeing sticks that are tied in the form of stars and the oranges with the cloves stuck in them. All these handmade crafts decorating people's houses for Yule is gorgeous and there's so much fun things to do with your friends, with your kids, with your family. That's very natural. That's very pagan and Christmas oriented this time of year.
My favorite meme on the internet going around right now is,
What's that?
how some of these memes go viral and they're like freaking everywhere. My favorite one out right now is decorating Christmas trees is a form of witchcraft. And I'm like, preach it. I love it. I kind of laugh at it and make a joke out of it, but it's not wrong.
Bringing a tree in is so pagan. The candles, pagan. Candles this time of year just really represent that return of the sun to me. It's that soft glow, it's that beautiful light. And when I was a kid, I went to a Methodist church. My step family was Methodist and very big in the Methodist church.
That's so funny because I did too.
I actually still think of the Christmas Eve midnight ceremony that they used to do. My family would bundle up, we'd walk down the street to the church, and everyone would get a candle as they walked in. And then if I was lucky, I'd get a seat up in the balcony, and I loved it up there because at one point during the ceremony, all the lights would get very, very dim. And people would come down the center aisles with lit candles, and they would light the candle of the end person on the aisle. And then each person would light the candle of the person next to them. So if you were looking from above, it was just this gorgeous sea of candlelight flowing out to everybody in the room. And then they would sing like Silent Night and beautiful hymns like that. And there were different times you were supposed to raise and lower your candle as you were singing. Oh, it's giving me chills just thinking about it. It was the most gorgeous, pagan, witchy thing I have ever seen in my life in a Christian church.
Bitch, you just plagiarized my childhood Christmas Eve.
Right? How cool was that?
But my only twist was, I actually my family was weird. I did go to a Methodist church for a while, but my same story was going to the Catholic church when my mom decided to turn Catholic. Different episode. And the only difference was, and maybe you just forgot this detail, when you would walk down the street, because I only lived like 2 blocks from the church, so we'd walk, they would put white paper bags on the sidewalk and have candles lit. So you had this like
luminaries,
yeah, like almost like the path to church kind of thing.
Oh, like at Brushwood in the fairy woods.
Right. And I lived close enough to the church where they started that path, like right in front of my house. So one of my fondest Christmas Eve memories is midnight mass and walking down the street, and it's just starting to snow very lightly. And it's like these paper bags lit with candles all down the sidewalk.
Gorgeous. That is something that we have in common. Everybody has so much in common this time
And then
of
it took
year.
me but the only problem is it led me to the whole sit, stand, kneel bullshit.
Now, the last one I'm going to talk about is a family tradition that came through my mother's side of the family. And I didn't know what it meant for the longest time until I was an older teenager. But when I was a kid, every year for Christmas in our stockings, we would get an orange and assorted nuts.
That's so weird because I got the nuts too. What's with the damn nuts? What's with the oranges? I just thought I thought it was my grandma trying to like sneak in a point there.
When I asked my mother about it, all she knew was that her mother did it, her mother's mother did it, and as far as she knew, it was just a very old family tradition.
I know you well enough to know you researched this. Why do people do this?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so The story goes back to St. Nicholas. And apparently, back in St. Nick days, there was a trio of young women who were unmarried with their widowed father, who did not have enough money for a dowry for them. So because they were not able to afford to get married, they were going to be sold to be servants.
What the hell?
Right? So sad, terrible. These three beautiful maidens destined to just be unmarried servants forever. And St. Nick heard about this. And so one evening, on his way past the home, he threw some gold down the chimney. Now, these young women, being very studious, awesome, hardworking young women, had put up their stockings to dry by the fireplace the night before.
The stockings were hung by the chimney with care?
Exactly. And St. Nicholas's gold fell into the stockings very conveniently. The next morning, the young women awoke and each found a small nugget of gold in the toe of her stocking and was therefore able to pay for a dowry and get married. And so, starts the story of St. Nick bringing it in. So now oranges, very similar to a nugget of gold, right?
No.
They get ripe like right around this time of year, but it's very rare in a northern climate to have an orange. So you had to be very wealthy to have this citrus fruit in the middle of winter.
I gotcha. It was almost like not a status symbol, but kind of. Yeah, I gotcha.
Kind of, yeah. And also a very healthy treat. Vitamin C was probably not very common in the midst of winter. And the same thing with the nuts. They were rare. The one thing my mom said was that she thought that they meant health, wealth, and happiness to have those in your stocking.
That sounds good.
Yeah, very pagan, right? It kind of has that origins in, bringing you wealth for the next year if you have these in your stocking. So I do that with my kids now, but they get chocolate oranges.
I always was like, man, what's with the nuts? Even my stepmother still. And then my kids are like, why do I get nuts? I don't freaking know.
I don't know. See, these traditions are like lost in time. We don't even know where they came from anymore.
And you know what? I'm that one. Okay. I'm breaking all the rules. My kids get peppermint patties. It's almost like Halloween in their stocking. Like I give them candy. Like, I don't know. If I gave my kids nuts, I think they'd throw them at me at this stage of the game.
Now, the one thing that I really want to adopt this year, you know what they call like the last or the lost weeks of the year?
Right.
After Christmas, nobody's really counting whether you're good or bad. It just kind of flows into the next year. Work is usually quiet this time of year. Family is usually around. So we're usually pretty mellow and do home comfy, cozy things this time of year. But I've discovered that in some cultures, Yule was probably celebrated for 12 days from Yule till New Year's.
What the hell? The 12 days of Christmas my true love gave to me.
Yeah, but I think that's something different. So I don't know, but if you know the history of this, someone please email us and tell us backonthebroomstick@gmail.com because I want to know. I'm loving the idea of the 12 days of Yule. I first heard it from a YouTuber called Ivy the Occultist, who has a whole challenge for the 12 days of Yule. But apparently it's a time of self-care, of, going within, of basically just being all cozy and snug in your house. And I want to fucking do that. That sounds like a great idea this year.
I don't even think I have it in me leading up to Christmas. Lord, I could do it the 12 days after Christmas, but man.
Well, that's what it is. It's from Yule to the end of the year. You're supposed to take it easy and chill and just be good to you. Self-care, man. Hig.
Well, with that being said, if you could please, folks, we love to hear from you.
And all we want for Yule is for you to give us some stars.
And some likes.
Tell a friend about us.
Share us.
And subscribe.
Email us. And we love to hear from you. Even if you want to just email us some crazy shit, we will love reading it. So send it on our way. Email us those questions, those odd things, those crazy witchy stories that you can't tell anyone, but you're going to tell us. backonthebroomstick@gmail.com.
Thank you all so much for listening to our episode about Yule traditions, Yule cryptids.
And y'all better be good at wearing new clothes because if not, the Yule Cat's coming for you.
That's true. Nobody wants to get eaten by the Yule Cat or Krampus.
For real. Keep it witchy.